Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Just ahead of Farhan Lalji, our guest, or one of our guests, the day. I feel like such a dummy. I did
Never
yesterday.
heard you say that before.
With birthdays. I messed those up. But
yeah, you did.
Today, I'm going to ask again. Those jerseys that I wanted to see, we should have saved them. The ones I wanted, those mock jerseys, and Johnny Canuck was in a circle, and then that was in the blue uniform.
Yep.
There are all sorts of mock jerseys out there on the interweb. And then the white jersey, though, the jersey that's partnered with the one I'm talking about had the stick and rink jersey, and the shoulder patches were switched. Anyway, if somebody could come up with that, like honestly.
So find it and send it to us.
We'll get you a Donnie and Dolly hat.
And send it to the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis Green's getting ripped for that speech that we played.
Do you want that as an athlete? We're bringing Farhan here.
Well, it's his job to talk to the rookies.
But would you
and
rather
tell
have
the rookies
somebody
what to expect? It's called clarity, Donnie. It's called
a very low-key speech versus something you might see from Newt Rockney back in the day. Somebody screaming and yelling and all that. Farhan's a coach. Let's bring him in here from TSN.
Yeah,
how are you,
right.
sir?
I'm good, but I haven't heard the speech you're referring to.
Oh, it's very good. It's excellent. Just it's a low key style versus fire and brimstone that you might see from some other coaches. What approach do you use? Do you address your players a certain way?
Yeah, I think it shows a lot of different approaches, because I think if you use the same approach over and over, and for me, my big times to address them are generally at the end of a practice, which is more kind of administrative stuff, but pregame, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's when you want that kind of motivational speech, but sometimes you've got to take different approaches to it, and honestly, like, one of my favorite speeches of all time was before, like, it was literally the day after Lucas was born. Mm-hmm. And I hate to admit that I coached the day after because my wife's never let me live that one down. But, I went in and I just said to the players that, guys, look, I would love to get angry and just give you a lot of energy and emotion and passion. And I said to them that, I can't. Like, I've just witnessed something that was so different, and my message to them was be good to your moms, right? Like before a big football game, and they all kind of chuckled and they got it and actually came out and played great, at least in the first half. But I think you need to read the moment and read the temperature and read the room, and you can't come at it with one straight routine all the time because eventually it'll tune out, right? Yeah. So I think you try to keep it fresh.
Good advice for the coaches out there. Hey, what's your gut feeling when it comes to Hughes and Pettersson? Obviously not at camp as it opens up today in Abbotsford.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to get done. And Rick, you'll know more than anybody because of how close you are to the situation. But, look, we're not going to see these two players hold out in the regular season. Like, they're not going to want that. I would imagine that they're going to miss these 3 days of training camp. And early in the preseason, you're going to see this thing get done, and they're going to come back. And we're going to see them on shorter-term bridge deals, maybe a little longer for Hughes. But, I'd be shocked if you went above 3 years for Pettersson at this stage. So, both sides are going to get nervous as you get close to this. I think it's easy to throw it all back on the club and say, look, it's up to them, and they're going to feel some pressure. But as Brock Besser pointed out yesterday, the players see there, especially when you're a younger player. You want to get out to your mates, and eventually something's going to be done here.
Farhan, you have been out at Abbotsford, or you're out in Abbotsford right now, if I got that right?
I was at the first skates, and now I'm on my way to Lions for the end of their walkthrough and our sit-downs for the broadcast. But, yeah, it was an interesting first practice. Anything
stick out at all? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Well, no, I mean, a couple of things. First of all, we saw Poolman and Ekman-Larsson play together, right, and be positioned together in the same group. So that's probably a sign of things to come because we were trying to figure out where Poolman was going to play, whether it was going to be there, whether there was a natural fit there next to Hughes. But we see him and Ekman-Larsson together. So in the second practice, does Tyler Myers play with Jack Rathbone, or does he play with Olli Juolevi, right? And where that fit's going to be. In the second group, or on the forward group, I should say, we did see Zach McEwen get a lot of time with Bo Horvat and Tanner Pearson. So if you're wondering what Travis Green thinks of McEwen after last season, because I think many of us might have thought that, look, he'd lost faith. And that, we might have seen the best opportunity for McEwen come and go. Well, I think that's a good message if you're McEwen, that you've got an opportunity here at least on day one to show what you've got, and we still believe you've got something to offer. And then Nick Patan playing in the middle of Brock Besser and Nils Hoglander. Obviously that's we know that Besser's going to get a look next to Elias Pettersson once he gets back. But what does that mean for Nick Patan? What does that mean for Nils Hoglander getting to play with a top-line winger here? So I think there's a few things that you can kind of read in because it's only day one, but you're only going to get 3 days before the preseason starts, so those notes become interesting.
Hey, Farhan, let's switch to football. We got a big one. Lions, Rough Riders at BC Place tomorrow. Now, look, the Lions are 4-2. A little bit of a soft schedule. They got some weak teams out of the way. Now, their next 3 games are against teams above them in the standings. We're going to find out, Farhan, what this team's made of in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you are, and I think it's fair commentary to say, look, you might have had a bit of a softer schedule with 2 Ottawa games and then a Montreal team that was playing without their head coach, right? And amazing right now to see the CFL power rankings. And look, they're just a ranking, but BC, number 2, Saskatchewan, number 3. So, obviously a lot of people are paying attention and taking notice of just how well the Lions have played of late, how well Michael Riley's been playing, with the number of 300-yard passing games that he's had, the number of 3-star performances that he's delivered, and as well as this defense is playing. So I think it's a good sign if you're the BC Lions. But, yeah, look, this team wasn't very good at all last year. They still managed to beat Ottawa a couple of times late in the season and get back in the playoff race. So these games are going to matter. The Lions are a much better team now than they were at the season opener when they went into Mosaic and almost pulled off an upset with a really good second-half performance after a real dismal first half with all the quarterback drama that surrounded that game. So, look, this is going to be an exciting game. It's a sellout. Yes, it's a limited sellout, but, hopefully there's a lot of Lions fans there and not just Saskatchewan because you're not going to see as many green jerseys because of the orange T-shirts that are going to be delivered. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow night.
All right, my favorite quarterback-receiver combo of all time is Roy DeWalt, Mervin Fernandez. Donnie would, I think, also agree. But I tell you something about this Michael Riley, Lucky Whitehead. They're not there yet, but I love watching these two connect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, this was a team that a year ago was really limited, or in 2019, they were really limited with what they could offer at receiver because you had Burnham and Lamar Durant and nothing else. And now this is a complete receiving core with a lot of options. And very quickly, we always view Brian Burnham as their number one guy, but really quickly it's becoming Lucky Whitehead, right? And that's actually a good thing for Brian Burnham because this team for years has been looking for a guy that could take the top off a defense. And I don't know that they've had it since 2011, Rick.
I agree.
They've been looking and they haven't had it, and Lucky Whitehead gives them that. We saw during training camp that they were trying to find ways to get this guy involved. Riley actually went to Whitehead and recruited him to come to BC and talked about how they were going to use him, and very rarely does it actually play out the way you envisioned it was going to play out, but it's happened here, right, where, they're using him deep down the field, they're using him on jet sweeps, they're using him on the quick screens, but Whitehead's also showing that he's got a lot of arrows in his quiver. He can run a lot of different routes and beat you a lot of different ways, so the guy's hungry and motivated, and I'm loving watching these two guys play.
Fran, before we let you go, what can you tell us about the new stadium up at SFU?
Boy, what a great experience. When I worked at Simon Fraser back in the early 90s,
yes.
When I was nudging you to go date your current wife, remember those days?
Yes.
When the Lisa Taylor was an intern for me in the sports information office back then, Lisa Thiel. Mm-hmm. And we had our stadium at that time. Lauren Davies was the athletic director, and we actually had a domed field house. And it was around 92. It was a $7 million project or a $6 million project. We had the first $1 million already raised and committed. And then all of a sudden, we did a story on it, and then a bunch of activists got involved. And we don't want to cut down trees at Burnaby Mountain. We've got to protect this, we've got to protect that. And this stadium, which was ready to go, all of a sudden went away. Mm. And here we are, Donnie, 20 years later, and we finally get a stadium. And I went up there, and there was a lot of proud alumni. It was great just to see, covered seating there on Burnaby Mountain, cool press box and VIP suites. And just proper places for coaches to coach a football game and people to stay dry, and the students were there because they're not going to make the trip all the way to Swangard, but they were there. Alumni came back. It was really cool. It was a competitive game all the way through against a really high-end opponent, and just an experience I've been waiting for 20 years to experience at SFU, and I'm proud to be an alum that we finally were able to get that. So they've got one more game this Saturday at home, so get on up there. They play Western Oregon. I can't go because it's my wife's birthday, but I'm going to be there in spirit.
Yeah, some great pictures, a great video you took on your Twitter account, and they've got a great story up there in SFU. We'll talk about it another day. Farhan, Christy Elliott, the female kicker. So there's that. We'll do that another day. Farhan, thanks for this. All the best. Safe travels as you travel around the Fraser Valley. Thank you very much, Farhan Lalji.
Well, and then from there, I'm going to Boston to do the Patriots and Brady's return next weekend. So I think we're doing our show from there next weekend.
Are you doing the Lions game?
Doing the Lions game tomorrow, and then
play-by-play though.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'll be doing sidelines.
Okay.
I won't be doing play-by-play.
All right. All the
you
best.
You got to recommend me harder.
Yes. Well, we have been doing that, and we'll continue to do that. Thanks, Farhan. Appreciate it.